Today we're going to evaluate the Sensation 3 that is a shoe that has hit the market by the company 361. The size of the shoe we're going to test today is going to be a size 10 in a men's size. We're going to evaluate it, we'll test it, and then we'll give you our appraisal on who would most likely benefit from utilizing this shoe. So the first thing, the shoe has a 9mm drop, heel to toe, and let's take a weight calculation on the shoe. And it weighs here 9.7 ounces. So let's go ahead and do the structural parameter testing so that once we do that, then we can determine who would best utilize it by using our total shoe index here. So let's go ahead. So now we're going to be testing several components on the shoe. We're going to test the midfoot stability, the rear foot stability, the rebound index, and the loaded heel to toe ratio or the vertical support in the shoe. We're testing this shoe. This shoe is about 75 degrees, and that's just about what we test shoes at in our lab. So for this first test, we're going to test the midfoot stability. We're going to torque the shoe on this long axis at 15 degrees, and we're going to measure that in inch-pounds. So let's go ahead with that. And we have about 40 inch-pounds of midfoot stability. So we'll put that calculation into our o.p.i.s calculator, and that will be 40 inch-pounds. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to measure is the rear foot stability. And how we measure that is we compress the shoe down to 100 pounds, and we measure the distance it took to get to that 100 pounds. The firmer the shoe is, the more stable that shoe will be, and the less distance it will take to get to the 100 pounds. The softer the shoe is, it'll take more distance, and the shoe will have less rear foot stability. So let's go ahead with that. Get right in there. Okay, we're going to go up to 100 pounds. And the small computer here will measure the distance, and that was 5.70 millimeters to hit 100 pounds. So we'll place that into our calculator. .70 millimeters. Okay, so the next thing we're going to measure is the energy rebound or the bounce in the shoe. So we'll do that by compressing this calcaneal block, 100 pounds in the shoe. We'll release it. This block will travel up, and it'll be measured in millimeters, and that's the rebound measurement. So let's go ahead with that. Okay, so that's 14.20 millimeters. So let's place that into our calculator. So now we have all our statistics. We've measured the midfoot stability, the hindfoot or rear foot stability. We've measured the vertical support in the shoe. We've measured the total shoe stability index, and we've measured the rebound index. So let's go over to our total index and take a look at this. So we have a shoe stability index of 55.3. So if we come over here, that 55.3 will be in the minimal stability rating, okay? The people that best from our clinical evaluation over 20 years, people usually in that realm can usually have a good foot pattern that will be neutral to moderate. We don't recommend people of high stature or who weigh a lot more to be in this. They should move up a little into the high stability rating, or even the high moderate stability rating. The rebound index in the shoe is pretty good. It's probably in about the moderate range, and so the shoe gives you a lot of bounce, but also at the same time gives you a lot of stability, and that keeps you that stability keeps you from getting injured. The vertical support in the shoe is 3.3 millimeters. So what that means is my left hand is the forefoot, my right hand is the rear foot. And what that means is that this will be 3.3 millimeters over the forefoot. And that's a good thing, because that keeps you from getting over eccentric loads on the lower extremity to prevent Achilles tendonitis, heel pain, plantar fasciitis. All of those things are pretty common with runners. So when the when the rear foot goes below the forefoot, that's when you start to have problems with injuries. So I would say this is really a great shoe. It's a shoe that's going to really reach a lot of population because of its stability rating and because it has a good vertical support. So as the shoes are in the neutral or the lower area, the market for it really becomes a lot less, because it doesn't provide the stability necessary for most of the everyday runners. So that's our input on this shoe. I think it has a lot of possibilities.